and welcome. Hi, everyone. All right, we're just going to give everyone a few moments to join. We're attempting to be punctual, so we're really mindful of your time, and we don't go over our allotted time. So we'll start briefly, but we see some folks in the chat. Feel free to say hi, share where you're coming from. Would love to know what state you're in. Feel free to share your city or your town. That way we can know if we have some neighbors. But hi, Rahim, Simeon. Awesome. Okay. So happy that you're all deciding to join us this evening. You could have been anywhere, but you're here, and we are very thankful for that. All right. Well, we'll kick it off, and as folks jump in, we'll catch them up to speed. But once again, hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight during our Ask Me Anything Criminal Justice webinar hosted by Los Angeles Pacific University. My name is Ari, and I'll be your moderator for this evening. And again, we're so glad you're here. Looks like you're interested in learning more about LAPU's Bachelor's in Criminal Justice program. And we're really excited to share more about it, how it can help you pursue a career in either law enforcement, corrections, public service, and so much more. We're going to dive a little deeper into all the career pathways. But before we get started, just a few quick notes. So tonight's session will last about 1 hour or so. We'll make sure not to go over. If you have any questions, though, please feel free to drop them into the Q&A chat box. So just add any questions as they come up, and we will try to answer as many as we can during the live. And we do hope that you stay tuned for the entire session, as we will be giving away 4 $20 gift cards throughout the event. Just a little gift from us to you. We're going to be asking some fun questions, some true or false questions, along with some multiple choice answers. So we'll be quizzing you a little bit about LAPU and, of course, about our program. So, all right, why don't we go ahead and get started? I would love to introduce our amazing panelists. We have some incredible folks here that you're going to be hearing from. So joining us tonight are Dr. Craig Brewer. Dr. Craig Brewer is the Assistant Dean of the Criminal Justice Program at LAPU. And we also have the pleasure of having Professor Gary Clifford join us tonight. And he is a longtime instructor with extensive experience in law enforcement, public service, and again, this incredible field, and you'll be hearing from him as well. So I'm actually going to kick it off to Professor Clifford to share a little bit about our program. So my first question, and I think it's a question that is on a lot of minds tonight, and definitely some that we received. We'd love to learn a little bit about what distinguishes LAPU's Bachelor's in Criminal Justice program from others. And of course, Dr. Brewer, feel free to also share your thoughts.
Dr. Brewer, I'll go after you if you'd like.
Great. I'm happy to kick us off and just distinguish a little bit about our criminal justice program, and then Professor Clifford can jump in there and share anything I may have missed. But one of the things, the key cornerstones at LAPU is about career preparedness. We want our students to be prepared to get out into the profession when they finish the program. So in order to do that, we've got faculty that have real world experience, decades of experience, and they share those real world experiences with students in the classroom. Again, trying to equip students with the insights and skills necessary to exceed in a broad range of criminal justice careers. The second piece I want to talk about is just the curriculum relevance. Another things that we do is we use subject matter experts to help us develop the curriculum. And we want to make sure that it's cutting edge curriculum. Again, this highlights our focus on career preparedness. And so one of the areas where we're looking at right now are the ethical and practical implications of artificial intelligence tools in law enforcement and justice administration. So that's an area that we're continually updating our curriculum in to prepare our students for success. And then the third area I'll touch on just briefly is about academic integrity and just the importance of that in this particular field. The program is really grounded in the values of honesty, fairness, and ethical responsibility. So students are encouraged to uphold the highest standards of integrity in their academic work and future professional practice. And this really reflects LAPU's commitment to justice and also moral leadership from a Christian worldview perspective. So we are a Christian university. I just want to highlight that we accept students from all faith backgrounds and are very open to that. But it guides our focus on fairness, equity, and compassion. And it also really leads to, again, we accept students from all faith backgrounds, and we're focused on a diverse learning experience for students who come to LAPU. So those are just a few highlights I wanted to share with you. Let me turn it over to Professor Clifford to share more.
Thank you very much, Dr. Brewer. First off, I want to welcome you tonight. It's such a great thing that you're here to learn about this fascinating program at this university that really is grounded, like Dr. Brewer said. Law enforcement and LAPU both share that pillar of integrity. And that's so important for people that want to get into that career. The other thing that's really important here is that this curriculum is real life curriculum put together by subject matter experts. It's just not an academic view of this. It's a very well blended view of academia, real life examples, and then a very progressive look at technology that's out there, meaning what technology is good for law enforcement, what technology is good for the student, and what is the world-class way to deliver that and to use that both to the student and to the professors and to the curriculum and to the external environment's advantage, which I think is different than a lot of other universities. We're just not a check-the-box school. We're somebody who checks your heart. We check you. We communicate with you. We want to make sure that you are going to be successful. We give you a lot of tools. You get success coaches. But what you really get with an instructor at this university is someone that did the job in any aspect of the of criminal justice, whether it's law, whether it's public safety, whether it's social justice, whether it's being a lawyer, whether you're in corrections or whatever element it is. You're dealing with people that actually did the job, both at the ground and executive level. So when you're going through the scenarios in class, when you're looking at the examples, you're putting real life incidents in play, and it's not just theory. So you're blending real life theory, you're blending the Bible, and that's another good thing because law enforcement and biblical concepts really overlap a lot, and not every university has that either. One of the things that I will like to close with in this introduction is it's really refreshing to use all the academics and use all the real life examples, and then to stop and to reflect on a biblical concept that may have some connection with what you're talking about. And what happens when you do that in an academic world, guess what? When you're out in the real world, that happens too. So if you're at a crime scene and you're doing something and you're all hyped up, all of a sudden you're just going to take a deep breath. You're going to stop. You have this extra tool in your tool bag and you pick it out and you know exactly how to apply it in this situation because you applied it before in the classroom. So I have a bunch to say. I'll stop there for right now, but I'm really excited to help you go through this and ask all the questions you want. Because I think with the panel you have tonight, you'll get an answer that'll help you make the decision you want to make. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Clifford. That was wonderful. Another question that we did receive that I'll go ahead and pin here. The question was, is this program a good fit for someone who's new to the fields of law or public service? Someone who is completely entering into the space and is eager to learn more about it, but again, doesn't have a background in any of these fields?
I can happy to start, and then I'll turn it over to Professor Clifford. So absolutely, yes. We have many students who are in this program who are interested in getting into law enforcement. There's a lot of career opportunities right now. Professor Clifford can talk a little bit more about that. But one of our core focuses is also accessible. So if you're thinking about changing careers and you might have a full-time job and you've got a family and you've got other commitments, our curriculum is set up in a way that it's 8 weeks and you can take courses and do the work whenever you like to do it. So there's never a time when you have to be in a particular course. So it really provides students with a lot of freedom who are thinking about changing professions and going into the field of criminal justice.
What I would like to add to that is that incredibly, some fields take criminal justice courses as an elective. For instance, I'll have a class, it'll be full of people that are in criminal justice, and there might be a nurse in it, or there might be another student from another genre in that class. I can tell you after, I'll call it 30 years of teaching in this field, I've converted nurses and doctors and college professors and embalmers and people in all sales and retail. They've taken an elective in this class and they've said, "Oh my gosh, I'm bit by this bug." And maybe it's not putting on a badge and a gun. Maybe they're going out and doing criminal investigations for evidence, or maybe they're doing marshal work, or maybe they're doing some other law enforcement dispatch or something else. But once they took a course as an elective, there's evidentiary value that plays out that a lot of people that aren't in the field want to get into the field. And there's a lot of segues that I could tell you about why I think that being in law enforcement first builds a great foundation for many other fields as you go. And that's the case in my world. But what I want to tell you is there's a very close symbiotic relationship between law enforcement and public service, and that's in the city governance. I went from being a cop, I always say cop to a robber, but a cop to being a mayor and a city council person and somebody who was very active in city management, all because I went to a police academy and got a degree in, back then it was called police science, and went through that field, and it really opened a lot of doors because of my education, which by the way happens to be grounded at Azusa Pacific and Los Angeles Pacific University also. But I do want to tell you simply that this program is a great fit, not a good fit, for somebody who's new in the field, because you're going to be dealing with industry experts that help you figure out a way to land as you're going through this program in employment. And the other thing that this university has is a really good network of getting people out in the field. And I can tell you that I've had influence over thousands of students, and we've put hundreds of them in really good jobs. And some of them, they're chiefs of police right now in other places. So the answer to that question is yes.
Great. And actually, this your answer is going to segue us into the next question. You briefly mentioned that our students are being led by industry experts. You briefly mentioned on some of the coursework, but we have a question that is what areas of study or coursework can students expect to dive into throughout our criminal justice program? So if you can highlight some of the courses or areas of study, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, I'm happy to provide a little bit of context for that. So there's a number of different areas that we cover in the criminal justice program at LAPU, but one of the key areas that we talked about is ethics. So students will have the opportunity to really grapple with ethical issues and challenges, and not just ethical issues of yesterday, but ethical issues of today, and working through how to deal with some of those issues. There's also policy. There's curriculum around public policy and helping students to understand policy-related issues. How do we change and drive policy to make change? There's courses that provide history about public administration and criminal justice, and also leadership and what that looks like to lead in a criminal justice position. So I would say the bachelor's degree is really broad, and it hits on a number of key areas, really aimed at best preparing students for success in the field. Let me turn it over to Professor Clifford to add a little bit more.
The only thing I would like to add to that is one of the things that I pride myself in working with the community at LAPU is that the actual curriculum is grounded in your local environment too. So a lot of the different things that you do while you're taking the coursework get brought back to your community. When you're doing your assignments and examples, we might say, hey, go to your local city, look at the agenda, find a topic that has to do with law enforcement and the impact it's having in some arena in your city. Or just go back and find out who your police chief is, how your police department is organized, or how your city is organized. And by the way, By the time you're done, in my opinion, with your degree at LAPU, not only have you learned the fundamentals of criminal justice, you're a lot smarter about your local environment and all of the things that happen around you. If you live in a county, if you live in a city, you might not even know what unincorporated and incorporated means right now as far as city governance goes. But as you go through the class, you'll learn that as a special addendum. So I believe that LAPU students are a little bit better because they have the Bible to help them ground it. And a lot of assignments come back to a biblical concept, which back when I was in school, I didn't, I was a religious person my whole life and really didn't crack a Bible till I was in college and somebody told me to tie it into an assignment, and it really made a difference in what I did. Secondarily, as you're going through there and looking at your local environment, you learn about your city, and what that leads to is not only are you better as an academic person in your career, you start becoming involved in your community. And that's exactly one of the pillars of LAPU when it comes to coming back and giving back to your community. So that's why I think there's greater expectations than just the courses you're taking. And as you dive into those courses, the ancillary benefits of having subject matter experts and people in the field that are in public administration facilitating your journey through academics.
Thank you so much, Professor Clifford. The other thing I'll just add briefly, we have a whole list of course descriptions if you'd like to look at that on the LAPU website. But some of the courses, I won't name them all, but criminal justice research methodology, criminal law, crime and delinquency, criminal justice ethics, professional writing in criminal justice, criminal investigations, corrections, terrorism and counterterrorism, principles of public administration, just to give you a flavor. Those are a number of our different course titles. And I encourage you to look at the website, and you can get actually the descriptions of each of those courses as well to learn more.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So we are going to pause briefly for our first giveaway. I'm going to drop a question in the chat for this giveaway, and the first person to answer will win, and then we'll jump back into our webinar and answer more questions. But we're going to start off with an easy one, what I believe is an easy one, especially if you've been to our website or you follow us on social media. So the question is, I'm going to go ahead and pin this. Our mascot is an owl, but what's their name? And because I want to make sure that I'm supporting you in getting that right answer, I'm going to make this multiple choice. Is it A, faith, B, wisdom, C, hope, or D, justice? All right. If you are on the live stream, feel free to drop in the chat your answer, A, B, C, or D. And then again, I see that we have some more questions that were dropped in here, so we'll definitely be answering those as well. All right, it's not D. All right, feel free to take any more guesses. All right, it's not B. All right, is it A or C? Is it Faith the owl or C, Hope the owl? And the answer is C, Hope the owl. I know this is a little tricky, but we'll have more questions and we'll continue to select the winners. But all right, let's jump into one of the questions that was dropped here in the chat. And Simeon, I went ahead and pinned your question. Your question was, how do I use knowledge for daily living? And I believe we shared a little bit about how, it really is a benefit to get to understand, right? To have that intelligence, that information regarding, how the government works, how your local government works. But is there anything that you'd like to share or touch on, Dr. Brewer or Professor Clifford?
Yeah, let me start, and I'll hand it over to Professor Clifford. But I would say, when we develop the curriculum, we're working on putting plans in place and partnering with students so that what you're working on today in class is something that you might experience tomorrow in the workplace. So the focus really is on application and preparing students for how to apply the concepts. And so oftentimes you'll have different scenarios that you'll go through that in your career profession, you're going to actually experience those. I would say the other thing that we do is we integrate the Christian worldview perspective too. So philosophically, as a student, you also get that experience to think through, okay, how do I live my day? And how do I balance all these different challenges in the field? But let me turn it over to Professor Clifford to add more.
I think you hit the nail on the head, and basically it gives you a more prescriptive approach to how you're handling thing, where you have this concrete foundation of the different elements that you learn, and you kind of have this unique ability to apply them in different settings and have a predictable outcome, something that and that you can expect. So it's really interesting where you can say, okay, I have this set of variables. I've learned how to resolve these variables academically. Now I'm going to take a balance of my common sense, my worldly view, that worldview, that Christian worldview that I have, that's always having that true north point, and I'm going to integrate all these decisions back to that point, and it kind of self-corrects as you're moving forward, and you really get to the right. There's a lot of these little cool business things about how to get to the right decision. I believe that the things that you learn in this course help you organically get to the right decision as part of your life versus trying to make it a forceful thing. And my example to you is that I'm a pilot, and a lot of times when you're flying an airplane, it's windy up there. So I have to hit the rudder a lot to make the airplane stay straight in the wind. When you use this program and you're going through the wind, you don't have to use a lot of rudder because you know how to set the airplane up the right way. And it's a lot easier to fly through turbulence when you know how to use the tools. That's the best example I can give you for how you get through your daily life with this set of variables that you've learned.
Well said. And I do want to give Rahim a shout out. We have an LAPU graduate joining us tonight, and he has commented that he had both of you as a professor, and the criminal justice program is making a difference in their life. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Feel free to, in the chat, drop anything else about your experience or share a little bit about your current career. All right, so we can begin to pivot a little bit into career pathways, as I did see that we also received a question here, and the question came from Rahim, and it's, do you have any students that become lawyers? So is this a great starting point for someone interested in becoming a lawyer?
Absolutely. So certainly, many of our students, if they want to go on to law school, criminal justice gives them a strong foundation for doing that. So this is one approach to moving into law school. We also have students who have gone out into the field and have become active in law enforcement or another area of public administration, and then have gone back at a later point to pursue a law degree. So let me turn it over to Professor Clifford to add a little bit more.
The simple answer to this is yes. I can give you a specific example of a student who got a bachelor's degree, the very bachelor's we're talking about, moved on, and then went straight from that bachelor's degree to a JD program, became a lawyer, and then guess what? Instead of opening up their own legal field, they went and they became a deputy district attorney for a county, one of our local Southern California counties. And it's a great story, but once they were bit by the bug of law enforcement, as you know, law enforcement has many, many facets to it. One of them is criminal investigation, both in the district attorney and public defender, both things that have to be done in the criminal justice field. And then some even go on to be judges. And then, believe it or not, we'll have a judge come back and be an instructor in LAPU, which is a true story also. So it kind of comes round circle. And again, the answer is yes, but it's a very complex yes.
That's wonderful. And before we jumped into the live, we were talking amongst ourselves and we were sharing some student success stories, highlighting some other wonderful careers that our graduates have entered into and are really thriving in, especially some leadership roles. So if you could both share a little bit more about those careers and those career opportunities, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, Professor Clifford's got a number of stories. So let me turn it over to you, Gary, to share.
I have a couple of really good stories academically, good friendship stories, long term. I can tell you, students contact me often. I just had one yesterday, an LAPU student that told me about the successes they've had since they graduated. A couple of funny ones. I was on the freeway the other day, probably driving faster than I was supposed to be driving, wasn't paying attention, and a highway patrolman on the 605 freeway pulled me over, and I was just getting ready to get my first ticket. And I was standing there with my hands on the wheel from 10 to 2. And the CHP officer comes up and comes to the side window, and I rolled my window down, and they said, "Professor Clifford, I just wanted to pull you over and say hi to you. You look the same as you did so many years ago. And it's just so great to see you. And this is what I've done since I graduated, and I've moved up and done this." And it was a California Highway Patrol officer that was talking to me about all the things that he'd done. And that student had been graduated for about 10 years. And it was just phenomenal to get caught up. We were on the freeway longer than we should have been getting caught up. But it was just another funny story that I thought I would share with you. True story. Also, there's a couple of local police chiefs. One of them was the police chief of the city I live in, and then moved on to be the police chief of another large city, and then retired from that. It was an LAPU graduate, and great life story, and again got involved in public policy after all of that. And then another story about an APU first and then an LAPU graduate that was a Los Angeles LAPD officer, moved up, retired from LAPD, and moved on. And currently he is the chief of Spirit Lake Police Department in Idaho. And never had to do real hard police work until he got to Idaho, and he's working harder than he ever had to. But there's so many great stories about the graduates. And in closing, I just want to say, part of my career, I've been able to teach all over the world for both APU and LAPU. And one of the things my wife and I noticed about this community is that it is everywhere. These graduates from our schools are everywhere. And you can be in Ethiopia in an emergency room getting treated for something that happened, and somebody that's in that hospital is from an APU or LAPU nursing program. And they're going, "Oh, you went to APU or LAPU." It's just such a great community. And I just want to reiterate that, LAPU has put together such a great program for criminal justice to launch careers in so many different ways. It really doesn't limit you to just one choice when you're done. And I believe that's because of the resources that you're provided above and beyond the academics when you're going through the program.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and to those that joined us a little late, once again, welcome to our Ask Me Anything webinar focusing on our criminal justice program. If you're not familiar with LAPU, hopefully you've learned a little bit more about us, but we are a fully accredited, fully online Christian university that offers flexible and affordable degree programs designed not just for working adults, but also first-time college students. So this is an all-online course. You won't ever have to attend an in-person class. You have the flexibility of, again, completing your coursework at your own pace, in your own space as well. So just want to make sure to highlight that as well. We did receive a question that asked, how long does one need to complete the program? So again, highlighting this is a flexible university experience. So we are fully aware that we have many working adults that are balancing full-time jobs, that are balancing parenthood, among other things. So there is no set duration or length. But would you both like to expand a little bit more on that, maybe sharing experience or how students in the past have been able to balance and manage their studies with life?
Sure. So it depends in part on how many units you're transferring in. So many of our students have been at other colleges or community colleges and come in with a certain number of units. And so depending on where you start along that continuum is going to impact how long it'll take you to move through the curriculum. But for many of our students, they do come in with 70 units, and then that means they've got 50 units to do with us at LAPU. For many of them, they may take 2 courses every 8 weeks. So basically 12 units over a 16-week term. So 12, 24, 36, 48, 60. So you're looking at about a year and a half if you're transferring in with the maximum number of units. So again, it depends in large part in terms of where you're coming in. We are a very transfer-friendly institution, and so we are very open. So if you have done courses at other institutions, our registrar works closely with students, and we review those courses, and we try to transfer everything we can to ensure that we can assist you in meeting that goal as quickly as possible.
Thank you so much. And that will actually take us into our next giveaway question. I'll go ahead and pin it here. So prepare to answer it in the chat box. This is a true or false question. And the question is, true or false, each LAPU session lasts 16 weeks. So it's a little bit tricky, but what are your guesses based on what you just heard? And we'll definitely clarify that in a second. But again, we do have multiple sessions throughout the year. And we are receiving a lot of false answers. And that is correct. Our sessions are 8 weeks long. So the academic school year for LAPU consists of 3 16-week semesters. So we have spring semester, summer semester, and then fall semester, and they each have 2 sessions. So this week is actually week 8 of our fall 1 session. So our students are going to be starting fall 2 next week. So yeah, there's 2 sessions in each semester. Yeah, so it truly flies by, and the wonderful thing is that you are fully supported during these sessions. Each student is appointed a success coach, and again, this is a personal coach to support you, to provide you with resources, to check in on you. You are never alone. We know that you're balancing so many things in your life, and we want to make sure that you're well equipped to succeed. All right, we are going to dive back into some more questions that have been dropped into the chat. I saw one here that was a phenomenal question. I know we're going to be really excited to answer. Let me pull that up. Give me just a second here. All right, and the question is, how do I use... Oh, that's not the right question. Pardon me. It was regarding the AI. I just missed it. I believe the question was, there we go. What roles does AI play in criminal investigation? So any thoughts, any information on this, or just what role does AI play in criminal justice, in our courses, in the field, in different careers?
Let me start by just saying that we're incorporating AI a lot into our curriculum and teaching students how to use these tools so that they can be effective, because what we're hearing from those that are in the field, like Professor Clifford, is that AI is being used much more predominantly. And so let me turn it over to Professor Clifford to talk about how AI is being used in the field in a broader sense.
Let me just unmute myself for a moment. First off, it's a real relevant question right now. And I think that it really impacts investigations. It impacts courtroom procedures and, how people are sentenced. AI, is it's a resource. It's a very new technology, and it's a resource to help you get a better finished product. So I'll give you a quick example of when it comes to policing, you're able to do things more predictive. It analyzes algorithms of how people behave, what could happen next. And instead of you having to do a lot of research, you can get at the hit of a button some predictive behaviors to watch out for, to look for. That's one area. Biometrics and identification is another area where AI assists, and that has to do with facial recognition, fingerprint matching, vehicles right now. Like one of the early AI things that were adopted in police work were those license plate readers. When you see it on the side of police cars, they have those big license plate readers on the light bars. And when they're driving by you, it scans your car and gives them all kinds of information. And that helps them in the commission of their duties, which is a lot quicker to get information than if they have to pull you over and ask you a bunch of questions. It helps a lot in the digital forensic world, helps analyze a lot of data and get you somewhere quickly. And then, there's a whole field of AI with drones, investigations, how to interrogate people, how to compile their questions and answers, and then go back and refine those. So those are just some tip of the iceberg ways that AI is helping the criminal justice field in policing and the courthouse, but it also has to do with corrections and a lot of and rehabilitation. And I just want to say that just like in the academic field, when you can use AI to help you give your professor a better product, AI helps the law enforcement community refine what they're doing and get a better product, which I believe is good for the public and it's good for the policing agency.
Thank you so much, Professor Clifford, for expanding on that. All right. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat box. And we'll just take a pause here. I want to check in with Dr. Brewer and Professor Clifford if there's anything that's coming top of mind that is worth mentioning, and we can, again, discuss the coursework, the incredible faculty. We can also dive deeper into other career pathways that maybe you'd like to expand on. But actually, why don't we discuss the faculty? I know we have just a phenomenal team on board that guides our wonderful students in the courses. So is there anything you'd like to highlight or share regarding our incredible LAPU team?
Yeah, I'm happy just to jump in here and give you a little bit of context. One of our faculty members is retired from the FBI. So he's on a special commission right now on a task force working with them. We've got another faculty member who's an active sheriff in San Bernardino County working there. We've got another faculty member who is retired from law enforcement, but was served as a police chief for many years in law enforcement. I'm thinking of another faculty member as well, who has served in law enforcement for a number of years and also in public administration and has been in a number of different leadership roles publicly in a number of different organizations as well. And then, we've got Professor Gary Clifford with us today, who's retired from law enforcement, but went on to become the mayor. And then after that point is working in the private industry. So really has a really good sense of how all these different pieces come together. So that's really our core group. We've got about 6 core faculty members that are teaching in this discipline.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you so much for spotlighting them. All right. A question that we also had submitted was, for those working in public safety or social services, how can this program help them grow or move up in their careers? And feel free to expand and maybe dive into other fields and spaces and how our students have been able to progress and really evolve in their current role.
Sure. Let me turn this one over to Professor Clifford.
One of the things that helped me in my career was starting my career in law enforcement. It built a foundation of many things, and I was able to move up in the organization because of my education and understanding that although I worked in the police department, it was one department in a city governance that really had a lot more things going on in it that had to do with city management, had to do with elected officials and the population that we served, and also had a lot of links to the external business community and other areas. So what I would like to tell you is that I believe that law enforcement and criminal justice is the portal to many different successful careers. Right now, I run a very large company, and the company doesn't have anything to do with criminal justice, but it has a lot to do with governmental contracts, serving the public. We have many, many city contracts and government contracts. So that the experience that I had as a criminal justice major, a police officer, an investigator, has paid dividends in me understanding the dynamics of human behavior, the dynamics of the city governance, the dynamics of public policy, which is all combined with running a successful business. You have to have those experiences in order to be able to reach out and understand how to get those contracts, service those contracts, and be a good steward to the people that you're serving. So I think that law enforcement, if you're just talking about policing, is just the tip of the iceberg, because even within police departments, you have code enforcement, you have dispatching, you have investigations, and each one of those careers have a spur off of it. Like investigations, my wife and I own a private investigative firm. We've been licensed private investigators for 45 years. That's a long time. Really get good at doing that, and then that branch has taken off on its own, specializing in some very specific, discrete investigations. You can take code enforcement, and that moves on into different things like public policy, building codes, working with people that are conforming to different building environments. It just, each one of those things kind of branch off. So I'm just going to tell you that I believe that when you start with a foundation of criminal justice, public policy, social justice, law, whatever that is, it branches into different things that can make you successful in your public life or your private life. There are countless stories of people who were in the military, and then they got out of the military and they used their military benefits to get educated at LAPU. And between the military background and their education at LAPU and this program, we're able to branch out into something wonderful that may or may not have been related to their military experience. So I think that the experience is what you make of it. And again, you get your professor who will help you with all things professorial and real life on the subject matter, but you get a success coach that'll help you with your personal things. And you have these different buckets of support as you go through this program. You can dip in and out of it as needed. Maybe you get promoted mid-block and you have to step out for a couple semesters, then you could step back in, but you never really lose pace because the pace is yours. So, that's why I feel that this university is kind of unique in how it adapts itself to the student's external environment, and then kind of helps catapult them into the career of their choice.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much, Professor Clifford. And again, a reminder, as Professor Clifford shared, this is an opportunity for you to find your pace, especially when it comes to higher learning, to your higher calling, and you have a network of individuals that are here to support you in all the ways. And that kind of segues us into the next question. What advice would you give to someone who's passionate about serving the community, but isn't sure what role fits them best? So maybe they're not sure what career, what pathway they want to enter into, but they know they have a calling, they have a pull, and they really want to gain more knowledge when it comes to criminal justice. And of course, as you've been highlighting, we have incredible resources, an exceptional faculty that can have these incredible conversations with them and guide them and provide insight. But what would you give to someone that maybe is hesitant about stepping into this program because maybe they don't have that final end goal or that vision of where they see themselves in a career, but they're eager to learn?
Sure, I'm happy to start, and then I'll turn it over to Professor Clifford. I would say that most of our students are actually in this category. Many of our students who come in aren't quite sure what they want to do in the field when they come in. And the wonderful thing is you don't have to have it figured out. As you come in, you've got amazing faculty. You'll go through the curriculum, and over time, you'll probably get a sense of different things that interest you more. But the other amazing thing is there's so many different career options that you can do. It's not just, some students think if I do this degree program, then I'm going to be doing law enforcement. And it's so much broader than that. It doesn't limit you to just doing law enforcement. There's so many different professional opportunities. Let me turn it over to Professor Clifford to say a little bit more.
You know, I have a lot of real life examples about this, but the most important thing is that you have an internal network. And I'm just going to share quickly, because I know we have a little time. I have a text in front of me that I received 2 days ago, and it says, "Hi, Professor. This is Cindy Lefebvre. And if you remember me, I met you here, and it had to do with LAPU. You know, I still work here. I'm in a different department, but I'm reaching out to you because it's been on my heart to do some volunteer work in the area of beautification within the city of Glendora. I was wondering if you might know the name of somebody that works within the city that I could reach out to do some of the and get some help, and it would be really appreciated. God bless you. Thanks. I hope you have a great day." And that's exactly what this is about. I put this person in touch with the city manager of that city. They got together, and I just got an email from the city manager of that city today saying, "What a wonderful connection. I brought them in. We're going to use them as a volunteer in the community to do A, B, and C." And this was all from the LAPU community, somebody who actually works in that environment. And I just want to tell you that if you have a passion to serve your community, you should act on that passion. I've been able to do it because I've been fortunate to be married to a wonderful person who will let me go do that thing and handle all the other business. So I can just go do that thing. She can take care of the nest, and I'm out there doing all the things that her and I want to do on behalf of her through me. So I just would tell you that if you're passionate about this, first off, use this LAPU community to reach out to all of the connections that you have through your professors, through your different instructors, through your success coaches, through the people that are on this webinar today. And I mean, you're not going to be disappointed, but you have to do that. You have to reach out. And it's a selfish thing I want to tell you, but every time I volunteer for something in our community, I get back more from my community than I give them. And I don't understand how that happens. I work really hard, and somehow, some way that comes back to my family, to the university, to my children who are all part of this network. It just comes back in a really good way. In fact, my oldest daughter also teaches for LAPU in another arena I'm not good in, the English language, but she teaches in another arena. But what I was doing my whole life kind of rubbed off on her. And now, so she works and she runs her household, and she also teaches at LAPU as an instructor. So I hope I answered that question okay, but you have lots of resources here to help you get involved in your community, which I think is one of the keys to success in the program. Like I said earlier, get your degree, understand this university and its impact on its communities, and get to know your community better while you're going through the program.
No, that was wonderfully said. Thank you so much, Professor Clifford. And I do want to highlight, when you become a student, you are going to gain access to My LAPU, which is our digital campus. And this year we actually refreshed it. So it is full of resources and tools, ways to communicate with your success coach, ways to contact your professors. You get to check in your grades, your credits. And not just that, we also have community groups. So two, for example, are our LAPU parents community group and first gen LAPU community group. So if you can just imagine the connections that you can make there, think of it almost as like a Facebook page, right? Where you can drop in any questions, you can connect with each other, you can share tips, resources. It's just a way to, again, keep you in community, to make sure that we all see each other and we're all able to support each other. As we know, there may be questions that come up and you might want to pick someone's brain. So those opportunities are there for you. And we keep stressing it, but really want to make sure that you feel supported and seen. And LAPU really does go above and beyond in making sure that we bring that to life. So with that being said, this is going to be our final giveaway question, and we're going to select 2 winners. I'm going to go ahead and pin this here. So our final closing question, giveaway question is, which phrase best represents LAPU's mission? This is a multiple choice question. So is it A, integrating faith, life, and learning? B, pursuing higher education for all? C, education made easy? Or D, learn, serve, and grow? So which phrase best represents LAPU's mission? And hopefully we've dropped enough clues to guide you to the correct answer. But again, there's a few really great ones here. And we'll go ahead and wait for folks to drop in. Again, is it integrating faith, life, and learning, pursuing higher education for all, education made easy, or learn, serve, and grow? All right. And we have a winner, Mac Jerry. You are correct. Yeah. Again, the phrase that best represents LAPU's mission is integrating faith, life, and learning. And there's more information regarding, again, our mission and our values and what we truly stand for and what we really want to support you with, these foundational items on our website. So feel free to visit our website when you have a chance. But we will make sure to also provide you with all the links and an abundance of resources, especially items that we covered today, so that you are well equipped with information. But with that being said, we have a final slide that we'd like to highlight and share on the screen, since we just want to thank you again for taking time out of your day to join Professor Clifford, to join Dr. Craig Brewer and I this evening to learn more about our school. Maybe this is the first time that you've learned about LAPU and all that we have to offer. So again, we thank you. Hopefully you're interested in learning a little more about the school, but if you would like to take the next step, if you would like to connect with an admissions team member to learn more about the admissions process, about financial aid and how to begin to apply and receive that financial support, again, there are so many ways for you to fund your education, and we have a team of experts that is there to support you. So let me go ahead and add that slide to our stage. Feel free to screenshot if you're on your phone. You can take a quick screenshot to save this, or if you're watching us on your desktop or on a screen, you can feel free to scan, and that will also take you to that landing page where you can include more information, where you can include your information and then be contacted by one of our phenomenal team members that, again, is more than ready to support you and answer any additional questions that you may have. But it has been such a pleasure, again, to spend this evening with all of you. Once again, big thanks to Dr. Craig Brewer and Professor Gary Clifford for sharing their insights and inspiration. We do have the giveaway winners, again, that will be receiving the gift cards. Again, congratulations to Raheem, to Corey, and then also to Mac Jerry and Skylar Bruno. Please keep an eye out on your email. That's all for tonight. We hope that you have a wonderful evening. And once again, thank you for spending your time with LAPU. If there are any final words that our team would like to share, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, I'd like to just thank you so much for taking the time to be with us this evening. I encourage you to check out, the programs more and talk to someone in admissions. And once you become a student at LAPU, you're part of the LAPU family. And we journey with you, not just through your academic program, but throughout your career. And so just want to encourage you to take that next step. And thank you again for taking the time to join us this evening.
Thank you very much for listening to us. It's so exciting to be able to share our experiences and try to relay that to you, for you to help you be successful. I can only tell you that if you don't try at least one class, you'll never know what you're missing. So if you feel inundated, just go to the program, look for your favorite class, take it, just get a taste of it, and I guarantee you will be bit by that bug and move on forever. You'll be happy you did it. So I challenge you, just find a class you like, look at it, take it, and take a risk. You'll be very happy you did. Thank you, and God bless.
Yes, perfect closing note. And it's never too late to start. We're always here to support you. And yeah, maybe this year's the year, if not 2026, but we are looking forward to hearing more from you. So have a beautiful night, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye, everyone.